and tertiary. So it's also possible for us to adopt this kind of multiple choice MCQ format. Then next one is the most important part. We have been doing research in this field for several years, and we also can carry out some of the tests, well, which are involved in intercultural competence or intercultural business competence. Here, we made a study between the IDI or the intercultural development inventory and with our test. So here it's about, then we found that, okay, our test is also has a high validity, high reliability, well, in that kind of test. Okay, communicative competence in intercultural business settings here, subjective testing. Well, normally, well, we prefer to use the case study and business negotiation. Well, for business case study and business negotiation here, okay, let me give you one example here. Intercultural business communication. Well, it would that belongs to a subjective test item. It's not the objective one here. In this case, the students are able to normally in this kind of case study, the students are offered a kind of situation or a cultural misunderstanding or culture shock, and then we ask them to analyze the culture shock. Why? What has caused this kind of problem? Here, let me give you one example. Here, intercultural business communication, for example, here, normally we ask the students to write it in 15 minutes. For example, in this part, there is one case study followed by several questions. Read a case study and then write your answers on answer sheet 3 here. You should write at least 100 words. So that one becomes the subjective test. I think the problem with this this kind of task is sometimes you need to offer a very standard key, or sometimes you should have the panel to discuss, okay, what kind of keys, what kind of cultural differences, or what kind of business, or should be included, I mean, in your key. Well, maybe this is one of the hardest parts. So, and here, oops, look, this is the case. For example, it's also we always use the especially in business settings, we ask maybe it's a kind of cultural conflict between Chinese people and also foreigners. Here, for example, Wu Guoqing here had just started working for an American company that had extensive business commitments in China. A large part of this work concerned advertising the expatriate colleagues on Chinese business practices. This involved both writing reports and recommendations and addressing meetings. So I just go through it very quickly. And then next. Okay, as he was very anxious to succeed, Wu always researched his topics thoroughly and tried to make his presentations as clear as possible. However, he gradually became aware that something was wrong. It often seemed that nobody listened to him and his advice was ignored. And okay, next slide, please. When he spoke at meetings, he felt that people were impatient and interested in what he had to say. He got more and more unhappy and began to feel that his colleagues were not interested in his opinions because he was Chinese. This he thought was racism. Then next slide. The company had a policy of annual review, which meant that every staff member met with the managing director once a year to discuss his or her progress. When the time came for Wu's review, the managing director gave him a copy of the company's assessment of his performance. The assessment practice praised his hard work, and but made the following very serious criticism. I think my time is running out because Michael is here. Okay, so so here in this case, well, I'm just it's kind of the case study here, and then so I would like to give you some. Look, in a second here. Wu was shocked by now later. Well, he got some criticism, and then here we have the questions for the students. Why do you think the company criticized Wu in this way? And then do you think he's correct to conclude that the problem is racism? And then, okay, this is the last question here. What cultural expectations about presenting information orally and in writing may account for the negative evaluation of Wu's work? So in this way, that is, we know how the students, how the testees or the test takers, they can answer well in the business situation in this case study, and then we know whether they have mastered the core values of the Chinese value, and the foreign cultures value. Okay, so okay, there's one more question here. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Okay, if you have questions, just contact me here. Okay, thank you.